Box Silver and Bronze, and I've got a stack of comics from a comic convention I attended this past weekend. Let's check them out. Hey, comic addicts. I went to a comic convention here in Chattanooga called FarleyCon. It was August 12th and 13th, and it's my first time being to it. I moved here last year, and it was a Sunday afternoon. It was raining, and I wanted to work outside my yard, and it was just raining that day, and I was kind of getting bored, so I went down to this local shop called Epicos, and while I was there, they had some of these flyers, and I found out that it was the last day when I was at the shop. I didn't know about it in advance. I was there around 5 p.m. and I think it closed at 6 p.m., something like that. So I didn't get to go last year, but I knew it was coming up. And I went this year. It's in East Ridge, Tennessee, which is just adjacent to Chattanooga. And it's at this place called Camp Jordan Arena. And it was pretty cool. And so when I got there, as I was walking up, they had a Ghostbusters car parked outside, which was really cool. And then when I went in, I checked in. I went on Saturday, and you could get tickets for Saturday and Sunday, or just Saturday, just Sunday. So I just went on Saturday. It opened around 10. I think it was there around 11, so pretty quick after it opened. And I walked in, and right in front of me was a comic booth. And so I started walking over to that comic booth, and I noticed it was Epicos, one of the local places. So I figured I know what most of their stuff is. I go there often. So I continued walking around, and I found there's another booth right next to it, which had tons of Golden Age. And I stopped there first, and I got a big score from that one. And I was a little worried because instead of like walking around the whole place or waiting to spend my money later, I made a big purchase at this first place. But as it turns out, it was the best place there. So everything worked out great. So I wound up buying comics from about 5 or 6 different vendors. The first one is this one. I got The Adventures of Jello Man and Wobbly. And this is from 1991. And obviously it's a promotion comic for Jello. And it's the first collector's edition. I don't know if there's any other editions. I picked this up for $1. Unfortunately, the back cover, half of it is ripped off. But other than that, it's great. And then I got a couple of more dollar comics from a different vendor. I picked up this one. Very nice condition. Mysteries of Unexplored Worlds, number 48. This is from October of 1965, and it features the son of Vulcan. And so his first appearance was in issue 46. So Mysteries of Unexplored Worlds was kind of more like a sci-fi supernatural themed comic book. But then in issue 46 and then 47 and 48 is the last issue. This guy, son of Vulcan, appeared. And then the title changed to Son of Vulcan for issues 49 and 50, kind of how like Journey into Mystery with Thor became Thor. And on, I think it was issue 49, the one after this, he gets a new costume. And the costume was created by Dave Cockrum, and it even says it right on the cover. The other comic I picked up for $1 was Mighty Crusaders #1. This is from 1965. It's really beat, but it's cool to have. And in this issue, it's the formation of the Crusaders, and you also get the origin of the shield. Pretty cool. All right, the next place, I got a stack of about 10 comics from this guy. He had it organized in short boxes by like Marvel and DC. And then he had this other one that, what did it say? Like Others or something like that. So I went right for there because that's the kind of stuff that I really like. And I found some great stuff in there. And there were some others that I left behind. what was really interesting about this guy, when I got home, they were in old poly bags. I wanted to put them in the my lights. And when I took them out, what I found inside the pages of most of the comics were all of these little religious pamphlets. And so as I'm paging through it, to check the condition and everything, one of these things would fall out. So that was kind of funny. So what did I get from this guy? Well, I picked up Ghostly Tales number 55. And this is the first issue of Ghostly Tales. It's got a great cover with the Nazi and, the ghost. And there's some significance to this one. So not only is it the first Ghostly Tales title, but there's a story in here with Dr. Graves. So it's the first appearance of Dr. Graves. And this is from 1966. This continued from something else. This is number 55, even though it's the first issue. And I think prior to that, it was Blue Beetle. I think Blue Beetle went up to 54, and then they retitled it. But I was really happy to get that one. And then I got Where Monsters Dwell, number 7. I really like these comics. You've seen me show some of these recently, if you've watched any of my other shows. And this has some great stories in it with artwork by Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, and Don Heck. It's from January of 1971, and it reprints 3 stories from Tales to Astonish number 19. Here's another one. I've been looking for this one for a while, and this is The Fly number 3. And that's a Joe Simon cover. I think it's from November of 1959, but great Fly cover, early issue of the Adventures of the Fly. I'm trying to put this run together. It's happened slowly. I don't see these very often, but I was really happy to finally add that one. And another comic that I've been looking for is House of Secrets number 88. And this is November of 1970. It's got a great gothic looking Neal Adams cover. Very similar, with that haunted house up on the hill to that Batman issue, which is a homage to a detective issue or something. And then there's also some other great House of Secrets covers that have this kind of gothic painted cover to it. I think 89 and 97 are 2 that come to mind. But I was really happy to get this. I've been looking for this one for a while. He had it, nice price. And I got my free little religious pamphlet inside it as well. I picked up a Golden Age comic from him, which is Popular Comics, number 111. And I just liked the cover on this. I thought that was cute. The army girl over there. And down here, the Smiling Jack story with that woman struggling underwater. And when I was paging through it, there were some great things in here that I thought were really cool. The artwork is pretty good. And like these old Golden Age stories, there's lots of story to it. But look at that picture there. They're getting ready to parachute out. Thought that was pretty cool. And I added another Spire Christian Comics to my collection. This one has been a struggle to find, Alpha and Omega. And what's funny about this one is there were no religious cards in this. I guess because Spire Christian Comics, it's already religious. They didn't think he needed to add anything. And I think 2 more from this guy. Yeah, I've got, he had a lot of the IW reprints and the Super Comics. For instance, there's one, a Dr. Fu Manchu IW reprint, which he had, and I almost picked it up, but the condition was really bad. There was like this yellow tape on the spine. I already have it, but I like it. I would have gotten another one because his prices were good. But I did find this one. This is Strange Planets 18. with this great kind of strange cover there. You got a UFO, flying saucer. You've got these guys that look like they're in scuba suits but floating through space, kind of a sorceress standing there. And this reprints the Super Comics and IW Comics reprinted other comics. And this one reprints Proved Comics #6, as well as a story from Explorer Joe #2, which was a Ziff Davis. The Approved Comics was a St. John. And I got one other Super Comics, which was Jungle Adventures #17, which reprinted JoJo #22 from Fox Comics. So that was all from one seller. Then there was another seller who his name was Bruce, and his company was called Quasar Comics. He had a nice booth set up, and he had some really cool stuff there. And I wound up getting 2 comics from him. The first one I got was Tippy Teen #11. And this is by Tower Comics. And this is very low grade. You could see a lot of color breaking lines up there and down here. And the other issue with this one is the printing, the cut was not good. It looks almost like it's a spine roll, but it's not a spine roll. It was just miscut. So I debated picking this one up or not. But the reason I picked it up is because I hardly ever see Tippy Teen. They're just so scarce, as in my experience. So I think I paid $5 or $6 for this, and it's going to go in my Tippy Teen drawer over there. And if I ever get the chance to upgrade it, I will. But in the meantime, I have it. And then this one I picked up just because it was in such great condition. It looks so beautiful. It's Maisie, #18. And this is Harvey Comics version of the Archie gang. And one of the things I like about the Maisie comics is the artwork and the colors are usually very popping. They just grab you. And so this one is in really, really nice shape. It has a chip missing from this corner here and that corner there. But other than that, I mean, it looks really nice. The colors, it's very glossy. The colors are bright. Everything else looks really nice. So I grabbed that one. Okay, now we're going to get to the 2 places, which were the first 2 that I hit, and that's where the bigger books were. So second place I went to, he had a setup where it was like a circle and you could go all the way around, and in the middle was a wall. He had probably about 8 or 10 Golden Age books up there. He mostly had more like bronze and newer stuff, some Silver Age. But I looked through the Golden Age stuff and I found this Nightmare #11. And I thought that was just so cool. This is from February of 1954 by St. John. And this is issue #11. Nightmare only ran 4 issues from number 10 through 13, 10, 11, 12, 13. And it was formerly Weird Horrors, which ran from number 1 through 9. But I thought that was just a great cover, kind of that purplish blue background with the Sphinx, through the fog or the mist. You've got the mummy approaching, and the woman's being threatened there with his knife. Really cool. I love that orange background to the word nightmare at the top. It just really grabbed my eye. He had about maybe 5 different types of horror comics up there, and this one just really grabbed me. So I made a deal on that and brought that home. And then lastly, I'm going to show you the stack of comics that I got in the first vendor I went to. I really had so much fun at his booth. His name is Michael Bray, and he has something called Mike Bray Comics. And what a great guy. I wound up not only buying the most comics from him, but just spending a lot of time chatting with him. We had really good conversation. He was telling me about the different Comic Cons in the area, which were the better ones for comics as opposed to toys. We talked about, what he collected and what I collected. So I really enjoyed that. So when I went up to the booth, there was a couple of guys around there. So I started off on the right, and he had a box which was listed as promo comics. So he had like a whole short box and a half of just promo comics, which I really like. So I wound up getting a couple out of there. The first one is this one. This is Model Fun, and it's from 1955. And it's a little comic book for youth to talk about, model airplanes, model boats, model trains, and model cars. It's the winter issue, so you can see the holly with the berries. He's making his gift list there, probably for Santa Claus. Uh, these promo comics usually have great ads or other artwork. On the back cover here, it is the engine for the airplanes. And one of the things I like about this one is it includes the store stamp there from Ebby's Model Shop in Canton, Ohio. So you get to know where it came from. So that was the first one. I've heard of Model Fun before. Um, I, I knew of other issues of it. That's the first one I have. This one I never heard about before. And when I try to look it up on the Grand Comic Database or my comic shop, I couldn't find it. And so this one is so beautiful. What do GM diesels do? And let's see, this one is from 1955. And both the front cover and the back cover, you got that GM Jimmy Diesel guy there. There he is on the front. The colors on this are just so bright and popped. It's really beautiful. It's a very small comic book. It's 8 pages total, but it talks about GM diesel engines. And I was so happy to have this one. It was so cool when I pulled it out and I found something that's so beautiful, which I hadn't seen before. And the third promo comic I got from this guy is called Casco Comics. Here is Casco Comics #2. Got a little bit of looks like an animal chew down there. But this was by Casco Mills. And there were only 2 issues, #1 and #2. And it has this good girl art on here by, I think it's Bill Wagon is how you say his name. But he was known for doing Katie Keene. And so that's really cool. All right, so after I dig through that promo box, I went and I looked in the around the other section. He had 3 boxes of Golden Age, and then of course he had the wall books. So I found quite a few things. This is Soldier Comics #10, and really just a great cover. This is from July of 1953 by Fawcett. There were 11 issues in the run, so this is the second to last issue. But really with, that yellow and red up at the top, all the action in the foreground, the explosions, it's a real eye catcher. And the next one I got was Action Adventure Comics. Look at that cool cover. This is issue #3 from July of 1955 by a company called Gilmore. And I believe there were only 3 issues in the run. I'll make a note of it here. I do have one of the other issues, and their covers were just great. They were, it was called Action Adventure, and definitely you look at that cover, and that's an action adventure. And this is really cool with what's going on in the foreground, but you got that wildfire, coming in from the background, and the colors and the scene. It just really sets a feel of action adventure, like you want to read what's going to go on in that story. All right, this next one is really cool. It's called The Catholic Miss. This is from February of 1952. And It's just such a great cover. It just really caught my eye. It was the only issue we had. This is the 10th anniversary issue, so it went on for several years, and it went on for several years before this and after it. But it's got this great cover of the young lady reading an issue of the Catholic Miss from February of 1942, 10 years prior, with the flag on the cover. It's hard to find images of this or any other information about this to see, was that really what the cover looked like 10 years earlier? Because if it is, that would be really cool. Then it's almost like an infinity cover going on here. But this was a magazine / comic that was given out to girls in like Catholic high schools and maybe middle schools. If you look closely, you could see in her face and also down here, there's a stamp that says Sacred Heart School, and it's in New Brunswick, New Jersey, which is an added plus for me because when I was in Hawaii, I was teaching at Sacred Hearts Academy, and I am originally from New Jersey, not too far from New Brunswick. So I thought that was really cool. But it also has a comic on the back cover, and inside there's just all a bunch of stuff that like teen girls would be interested in, like dating, clothing, makeup, things like that. But there are also stories about strong women, role models. And there's an ongoing comic in here about a stewardess named Linda Lang. And it's an ongoing story about her and some pilots. And it's really cool. But that's called Little Miss. And that's from February of 1952. And the last comic I got from this guy was a wall book. So he had some great stuff up there. Silver Age, Golden Age, Modern. He had a lot of cool stuff. He had like those short run children's comics that Marvel did like in the 80s, the Star publication, really good condition. But this is the one that I brought home. Ibis the Invincible, #6, with this just killer cover. This is a Fawcett comic from 1948. And it's really cool, right? You got the demon over here, the skulls on the ground, Ibis protecting the woman in red. He's got his torch up here, lighting the cavern. You got the stalactites hanging down from the top. What a great cover that is. When I saw that, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Let me see. Took it down, opened it up. It's in great shape. And there are several first appearances in this. Ibis's mentor is in here, as well as some villains that of Ibis. I don't recall the names of them, but there's a couple of first appearances, so it's a great book to have. And that was my big score of the day. So FarleyCon was great. I'm glad I went. I'll probably be going next year if I'm around that weekend. And I'm wondering what you think of these comics. There's some pretty cool ones in there, and I'd really like to know, what do you think about that Catholic Miss? Is that pretty cool or what? All right, comic addicts, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.